we're streaming in the building, but like when you watch it here, it's like super chuggy.
I think it's because our downstream here just kind of stinks.
And then whereas if I watch on my phone in the building, it's fine.
But you're on the data network.
But I'm on the data network,
right?
yeah.
So yeah. Hi everybody, it's a Stardock stream. We're here. I'm
Hello.
Adam. That's Paul. I'm back after a little bit of a sabbatical of sorts, which is exciting stuff. So hooray! I'm going to turn the camera off because I hate the camera angle. I swear I'm going to fix it one of these days. But there it is.
They changed it to where it was over here.
Yeah, I kind of like that better, but then I hate actually producing the stream from that side.
That's a good point.
Because I'm, mostly here to produce the dumb thing and not to look pretty. Although I do look very pretty. My beard is kind of getting ready.
Action.
Well, it's kind of getting ready to go, climb a mountain and live as a hermit on its own at this point. It's a little out of control.
All right. Neckbeards are in style.
So Twitter informs me. So anyway, here we are. We're streaming. This is actually the build that we just pushed live to everybody yesterday.
Ooh.
So it's the same build, which you need to yell at Colin or whoever about not updating the stupid string because that drives me so crazy.
The string that it says 5.0, they fixed it already. But now we have to literally push out a whole nother patch to fix a number, which we have to then increment up again.
I think well, that's traditional for LH to screw that up too.
It's funny because it's something we always do. I just don't know how that's the buy, but it's really annoying because of the nature of it. Of that, it's literally like has no other effect. I don't know if anybody here. I'm going to start off with. I don't know if anybody's noticed in the latest build the rendering system for the normals and the binormals, which I think is silly. I'm going to call them bitangents because that's an alternate name for binormal, are now being generated. I don't know if dynamically is not the right word, but they're being generated in game so that you don't have to do it through Maya anymore. And the end result is because of the way we do our crazy ships with all these parts, it makes it a little easier for the designers to model them. But it makes everything look, and it's really subtle, but for those of us who are artists, it's super obvious. So if you look at the new one and then look at, you can't really look at the old one because you've already replaced it, but you'll notice that just the overall quality of the rendering of all the ships went up substantially.
You could look at one of our old streams, which are all on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I suppose you could. Yeah. So I'm very excited about that as a closet artist.
I don't know how closeted you really are about your
true.
artistness.
But I don't get to spend nearly the amount of time I used to.
Yeah, you're stuck in the XML,
yes,
and
that's my good times. Matter of fact, I just opened this up and realized that none of the changes I made in the last 2 days are in this build because they're not for this build.
I feel like we have that conversation every week.
Well, I did a lot of substantial stuff. I started putting in the ore. I cranked up maintenance on everything. I lowered overall approval, so now everybody starts at 66%, which people are going to hate. It's great if you're the crit.
I was going to say,
sucks
it makes
if
the
you're the
crit
Terrans.
awesome.
So that's still balancing that. And then I've been trolling the message boards. Found a lot of great feedback, a lot of bugs that aren't bugs but people think are bugs. Good times.
I freaking love the crit approval thing. I'm such a
well, especially you haven't played the new build. In the new build,
true.
It's like, oh, now the path is super awesome, and the build that you guys have. The path is nice. You don't really need it. You don't need it. But man, once approval gets a little stiffer, all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, there's a reason why that entire branch of the tech tree is there.
Now I haven't played any other races. I've been only playing the Kryn basically since 0.5. And I really like the Kryn because I really like the approval stuff, and they feel pretty different to me, which is good.
Yet, but they are starting to feel nicely different. Yeah.
But if my point that I was going to get to is I feel like we even could do another look at some of the other races to give them some of the stuff, because I feel like the Kryn feel more different than the other guys do.
Yeah, that's true.
And
but that's because honestly, it's like I used up all the easy changes on the. And I'm like, what am I going to do with the Kryn? What am I going to do with the Kryn? And we had this kind of fundamental mythology from Gauss of 2 with their religion, and that kind of turned. Ooh, sorry, good planet. That turned into a. Wait, how? Oh, there it goes. That turned into this whole thing with the faith, which allowed me to flesh it out. A lot of the Terrans will have. I mean, everybody will have some better things as we move forward. A lot of them are abilities.
Right.
So, and also we've kind of been starting with the safer races. I mean, obviously the Terrans are always going to be like
they're kind of the
most
vanilla. Yeah.
Although we might change that in the second expansion, because that's when they kind of go all in your face. So that'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to the discussions you end up having with Brad about how the Yor need to change. I can't imagine how many freaking rounds you're going to have to go with the Yor.
Well, the Yor are pretty safe to do some cool stuff with.
Well, cool stuff, yeah, but
I mean, the Yor honestly have a lot of interesting things that really we never did in Gauss of 2, because they were honestly just too hard to do. And now we can really kind of push that. I mean, that's what I'm working on now. Matter of fact, I was just putting in all the binks for them, and I've already created a tech tree for them, and this is essentially what my next 2 weeks are going to be.
So the Yor next up for
Yor
beta
will be in the
4,
expansion.
beta 3.
I mean, in the expansion, they'll be in beta 3 in the battle beta.
Oh, that's topical. So that works out.
Yeah, and they have some cool fighting abilities and stuff. So that's why we kind of saved them.
When are abilities going in, the super abilities for races?
I wanted to put them in beta 3, but they might have to wait till beta 4.
Boo.
We Christmas is coming and people want to go home for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Nobody wants to work on Thanksgiving, so.
Man, your team is just a bunch of whiners.
Yeah. Well, I will be working on some cool stuff, but I can't guarantee they'll get in. I would wager beta 4. Because beta 3 really is the last huge feature chunk.
Right.
So once that's in, then we start polishing all the existing features.
That leads into one of the questions we have in the chat here. TapBG asks if the diplomacy is going to get better because it's so simplistic right now.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, what's in there right now is bare bones. We are, the AI is barely doing any thinking about it. It just goes, yeah, I'll take that. You can kind of rip it off. That's why we're in a beta. This is our main goal, honestly, at this point, is not to make sure that you can't exploit it. It's that it doesn't explode or that it doesn't break or that it, so as long as the system is working, then we can make it smarter. And that's the goal of the beta. So, yes, hopefully by beta 3, I mean, the half the team is going to be hard at work on the battle viewer, but I'm going to be spending a lot of time. We have Alan's going to be working on the AI pretty much nonstop. So I'll be spending a lot of time on the UP and on the all of that, all the diplomacy stuff. And we'll get some better dialogue. We'll get better weighing of things in. It still won't be done in beta 3, but it will be better. And then in beta 4, it'll be even better. And in beta 5, it'll be even better. And in the second expansion, it'll be, we're just going to keep working on it forever. AI is one of those things that
you can pour, you can pour as much as you want into the well, and it will never fill up.
Because players find cheats, and then we go, and we start, taking advantage of those things or fixing those things. And then we go, you know what? I can make it so much smarter if I do this. And then the next thing you're rewriting things. And so AI will be done in 2022 when we are done with the game completely.
We had a question on, I don't remember if it was on the forum or in the chat, that I thought was a little bit of a loaded question, but is a fair point to address. People asking, will DLC that we do, because we're obviously going to have DLC for Gauss of 3, but will the DLC do anything that modders can't because the game is so data-driven?
Well, yeah, because we can add art assets. So, no, yes, modders with teams of artists and volunteers, it should be able to do. And honestly, yes, we do have access to the code. So, we can go, we really want this feature, but we'd have to change it in code. And so, we will be able to do a lot of things. I would love to see. I'd love to see modders making things that are worthy of being DLC. I mean
Sure.
that just makes more people play the game, which is good for us. So yeah, more power to you. But yeah, we always will have a little bit of an advantage in that we have the code. But we're gonna make it as flexible as possible.
Speaking of modders, I had a question that's a little bit of a leading question. But are you changing anything about the ship designer in the near future?
The near future, probably not, but there'll be more tweaks. Yeah,
Just like interface stuff, or
mostly interface, mostly support for new things. We want you to be able to put particles on the ships.
Sure.
We want you to, mostly that. We tried really hard to get it as solid as possible, as early as possible, because not only are you got the ship designer, you guys don't want your ships broken. I don't want my ships broken because we literally are making all these assets with that same tool. So we had to have it pretty solid. So everything that comes in at this point should hopefully just be polished, just be making it easier, maybe adding some new types of, I don't know, animations or something like that. But we're not going to be breaking ships ever. If I have a say in the matter,
Sure.
there's a slight chance that we might have to say, on gold or whatever.
Sure.
We don't officially support these ships, but we don't. I honestly really would love just the ships made in beta 1 to run in the very last build.
Sure.
That's my goal. But that said, there'll be newer features. You might want to open up your old ship and add some of the new features.
Stick some particles or decals or whatever on it.
We want to have a decal material that shows your race logo. I've really wanted, I doubt if this will get in the base game, I really want something that can show like the name, so it can say USS Enterprise.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Always be cool. But it's just one of those things where it's like such a polished feature, we don't have time to focus on it, but we're still working on the base game.
On combat and yeah. Totally. The reason I ask is because I just got all the approvals together anyway. We haven't formally announced it yet, but in November, you may want to have your best ship designs ready to submit for a fun little contest we're going to be doing.
Cool.
Which I'm very excited about. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. Because that's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, well, and you get to judge everything too.
Yeah.
So
I might have to
that's
let
fun
Brandon
for you.
in since now he's designing most of the ships too. But I'll still veto power. Power.
That's true.
I researched UP veto.
So we have a bunch of questions in the chat, kind of all on the same topic, and this is something we've addressed in the past, but is always worth talking about, of micromanagement and dealing with huge maps, because we still have 2 more map sizes to add?
4.
4? Jeez.
We're on huge. We still have gigantic, immense, excessive, and insane.
So obviously managing an empire at that point becomes difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, those maps would be kind of impossible to play and have any fun with the current state of the beta and the interface, because we don't have.
No, you can do a lot more than you expect, but yeah,
You can do it, but I mean, it's still.
Well, I mean, Galciv. I mean, let's face it. This game is not a quick turn kind of game.
Yeah.
So if you are somebody who's playing kind of Farmville, like micromanaging your planets, you kind of want to do that. Now that said, when you're getting really big and you're like, oh, these guys are literally like 7 light years away from the nearest border, just manage it. Just go click on a governor and have them go in, or just set them to always just make money or whatever.
Right.
Then we have the commands thing is where you start ordering things around. This is a little buggy right now. We're gonna do some work on this to make it a little more friendly. We'll have a lot more automation, but it's never going to be like a, play game for me button, type of thing.
Sure.
But yeah, no, we will keep that in mind. Also, one of the problems I'm really worried about, especially when you get to larger things, is these planet lists and stuff get really ungainly. Mm-hmm. So we need smarter filtering in them. We're probably going to add a couple new lists. We might add a starport only list. I'm going to take resources out of here and put them somewhere else. Not sure.
Yeah, they don't really need to be there, do they?
The problem is originally I wanted notifications to be in here. So I don't want to have 6 tabs though, but we might have to move to 6 tabs.
Oh,
So-
notifications for like tech research.
Yeah, this is text
Improvement
research.
builds, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was on the list. Otherwise, where am I going to put them? I mean, I could drop them down the side. but
Right.
that
That's like,
gets ungainly, and half of them you don't really want to address. So yeah, we're working on that. Hopefully, that will be. It's on my list for beta 3. Working on getting that in. But yeah, we have a lot of micromanaging things that still need to get done. But it's definitely on our minds always. Also, like one of the things people were talking about on the forums a lot is like, well, on a huge map, aren't I going to run out of traits instantly? Or on a tiny map, I don't get any of the traits. Those are all things we're going to start rolling in where a lot of game pace features are
keyed to the map size.
key to not only just the map size, but like the number of worlds. Because the
Oh.
problem is that if you have a huge map with sparse stars, sparse planets, sparse habitable planets, there literally could be like, 20 planets in the whole map. And, there half of them are taken by the ore. You're not going to get everything. But then you could have a small map with abundant. And the next thing you know, you've got all the traits, halfway through the game. So these are things that we have to balance. But those are definitely on our minds. They're just not in yet. The only thing that is currently being scaled by map size is ship range. But we have built in the infrastructure so I can actually start doing that to lots of things.
That'll be nice. What do you think of removing technological ages now as they work as artificial barriers to your advancement, which could be done with other means?
What other means? You can't tell me that without telling me what the other means are. No, I actually really like the tech ages. I know that people find them cumbersome. I'm not saying they will never go away, but I'm very much focused on balancing them better. As a matter of fact, I find right now that tech trading's in, I blow through them instantly and I don't even notice they're there. So it's like, now that said, you're on a huge map and you don't meet somebody for 300 turns, then you're still going to run into that. But you start trading with your neighbor, and you're through the age of war before you know it.
Sure.
Now that said, once trading's harder, blah blah blah. So this is why it's really, really hard. I don't want to blanketly say, well, yeah, they don't work. I think they do work. I think they help control the pace of the game. Are they perfect? Now, no, and we will be adjusting.
One of the things I really like about them is the idea of having these kind of big tipping points, these big steps that are like, you just don't get planetary invasion until the Age of War. Like,
it helps control the pace. Now that said, I have multiple times mentioned, and actually even Derek and Brad kind of don't agree with me on this, but I am not opposed to having them be an option, like kind of like a
gameplay option. Sure.
But they're such a big thing to the flow. It would be a pity to get rid of them. So we'll see.
We have a comment from Gilmoy about watching you play really quickly and blowing through things. And, is there a bias to designing the game to conform to this gameplay style? I would really hesitate to draw any conclusions about the way that Paul plays based on the stream.
Well, especially, based on the stream.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty unusual.
I will say here, let me go a little inside baseball here.
All right.
One of the things I always do is I go in, beginning game, I flatten all the way down to here. I rake to production and research. I put all my research into military, and then I buy improvements till I run out of money. And everybody's like, and then Alan's working. Should I have the AI do that? I'm like, no, that's just how I do it. And Derek plays the game, never touches the sliders. I know a lot of people.
God, it just makes me twitch.
Yeah, and Brad is like, well, we should have an advisor that says, you should adjust your sliders to, But so it's really kind of a preference thing. But I also don't, it's one of those things where as the designer, I'm like, well, should I just make it so it's always like that? Mm-hmm. It starts that way? That's not really cool either. One of the things that I've toyed with that we might eventually do is have presets here.
That's what I want.
Yeah, so you can say, make money or balanced or and or even create new ones.
Yeah, the user defined ones are the ones that I want.
Yeah, in my original design, that's what we had. But because it's so because there's so many handles on it now, it's kind of hard to do that.
Sure.
But they'll probably come back.
The other thing that I'm going to keep bothering you about until you either just shoot me down completely or put it in the stinking game is putting that freaking govern, some of the more common functions of that govern window on the actual planet management screen. I hate having to click into that menu for this thing that I do all the freaking time. Drives me crazy.
This is a very hotly debated issue. I put this screen here. I was very happy to have it. I used to do this all the time. Never touch it anymore.
Really?
Because I've just gotten used to playing a different way. So I don't know. I originally actually wanted to have this whole spending thing like up here somewhere.
Right.
But it seems the problem is it's not really natural, and you don't really need it in most cases. So it's a power user thing, which is why it's in a window. But that doesn't mean that such a thing could never occur as an option or as a mod or if enough people want it, then yeah, we would put it in. Oh, speaking of things people want, I know that I'm not really answering questions. I'm going to be gone the 14th of November, which is a Friday.
Okay.
So I would like to get people to chime in on the forum or whatever of who they would like to have do the stream.
Oh, sure.
Do you want a coder,
an artist, or a coder?
Do you want an artist? Let's get where are your questions? So the stuff that I can't answer. Sure. And then will punish whoever you suggest by making them come do the stream. Ray can do it if he has to. Nathan probably be good.
Nathan, I think, would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, because he's very knowledgeable of the kind of core systems. And I asked Jesse, and he didn't seem like he was. He can come play banjo for you guys.
No, I would be totally into that.
This is the Galciv Banjo Hour.
We could have a Banjo and Maggie. Like, if that stream would have so many viewers, it would be amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Maggie will not be with me because I will be on the road to Richmond.
Oh, boy.
Because I have a marathon because for some reason in the South, they do marathons on Saturdays because they want me to have to miss a day.
I will never, ever run a marathon in my entire life. I can guarantee you that.
Never say never.
All right, this comes up all the time, but it's worth addressing quickly. Are there going to be civil uses for resources, or are they only for military mods?
Originally they were all going to be military, but yeah, I am more and more convinced that I need to give you some civil issues, and I'm going to bring that in. The problem is it requires some tooltip, smarter tooltips and stuff on screens. If I just took them up right now, you'd be like, why can't I build this? So I need somebody to actually be able to spend a little time tweaking the screen.
Gotcha.
I like the idea of using them for terraforming. Somebody suggested that on the forum, and I was like, because that could greatly reduce the amount of...
and terraforming could use some love, honestly. Like, terraforming, I think, could be a lot more interesting with how adjacency works.
I love terraforming.
No,
I
love terraforming, too. I think
What do you mean with how adjacency works?
I think...
Defend your statement.
I think that a slightly more in-depth or interesting or versatile terraforming system could be really interesting because adjacency offers so many options that would make it cool.
What's more adept than being able to let you put it anywhere?
Well, isn't that like way at the freaking end of the tech tree? Like,
you mean you want to be able to put them anywhere all the time?
Well, I basically want more terraforming, put it that way, because I think
I'm already worried it's overpowered. So
I saw some chatter on
talking madness at this point.
So I like overpowered though. There was some chatter on the forums, which I thought was actually pretty cool, or a pretty interesting thought, that because adjacency is so powerful, and frankly because it works pretty well. People in general like adjacency. I like adjacency. I think it's really landed somewhere pretty cool. That planets should just be bigger, because like class 4 planets are just terrible.
That's debated. This is a debated issue too, because honestly, like here, let's cheat. Okay, now I am playing Kryn, so this isn't as good as like with Mars. If you research high enough up the tree, I don't know what these ones are. You research high enough up the tree, I can... This is a class 4 planet.
Yeah, but that's still like way at the end of the tree. Like that's there's
that's your I hate what's the Age of War?
The Age of War. Oh, yeah.
So no, and actually the Altarians have one of these that lets you put it anywhere earlier on the tree. That's one of their special treatures.
I think the thing about it isn't that I think that terraforming sucks or that adjacency sucks or anything. It's that I really like them, and I kind of wish that there were more knobs there to play with.
Well,
and more earlier too, because
I think we can tweak that, but you really have to be careful because, like I said, it's so overpowered. I just took this planet from a 4 to a 19.
You know what I mean? Realistically,
late game when everything cost $1 billion, that's okay. Early game, you all of a sudden have a 19, you just won the game. Yeah. So you really have to balance these things.
No, that's fair.
Which I might as well build myself.
I'm just saying that I like adjacency. I want to play with it more.
Well, obviously we will keep playing with it and make it better. But I think it's right now there's maybe some UI issues, but I'm pretty happy with it in general.
Let's see. One thing I found annoying was having to build and send several constructors from several planets just to upgrade a starbase's sensors. Near the end of my game, some starbases were like 6 upgrades behind because I couldn't be bothered. I mean, there's a lot of upgrading your starbases.
Yeah, you can build starbase, build constructors with multiple modules, and that will...
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, and then you could... well, actually, now, that said, we're changing the way it works. Right.
Oh, really?
So starbase is like, instead of this constructor here, going here, it will get, instead of getting consumed, what it will do is it'll just get stationed. And then I'm going to build a bunch of good boats for some reason. As a matter of fact, actually, now that I think about it, since I did unlock, if I cheat me up a constructor Mark 18, this has 2 modules on it. So you can send that there and build 2 things. Or, and a matter of fact, there's some late game, and it's going to do it all in one turn because they all have hyperwarp on them. Bam. So yeah, so I just got 5 modules from that. So yeah, you can build multiple. Now, that said, there's a bug in the existing system where if you send a ship that has multiple modules, create a starbase, it'll destroy one of the modules. That's not cool. If you send a ship that has multiple modules to a starbase that has less than the modules on the ship, it won't be able to dock. So there's like some bugs. Now we're gutting all that, and what's going to happen is the ships will just go into orbit like normal, just like these did. And if they are in orbit, their credits will show up here as available. If you consume them, then the ship will will be removed from station. And if you consume 1, but a ship had 2, it'll just subtract the 1 from it.
Oh, okay. The ship will literally lose one of its construction modules.
So then you say, "Oh, I'm done with this one. I'm going to send something elsewhere." One of the other things we're going to do is make it so things that have no use for that starbase don't show up in the list. So, like if there's no resources for me to mine in the area of effect of this, mining ring won't even show up. If there's no relics or ascension gates, the xenoarchaeology lab.
I didn't even realize that because some of that got added in.
Yeah, because it's annoying because you'll be like, oh, did I upgrade? This is that guy's issue. My starbase is behind. Is it really? Do you really need these things on there that will do nothing? So we're going to kind of hide those away, and essentially it'll keep people from wasting money.
Sure.
And they'll go, instead of going, oh, I need to upgrade that all the way up, they can just send them off to build another starbase.
Sure.
I'm also going to get rid of the cost of starbases, which a lot of people didn't even know was there.
Like the maintenance cost?
No, there's a regular cost. Like after 4, it starts charging you.
Yeah.
We're going to get rid of that, and we're going to add maintenance. Because right now there is no starbase maintenance. So there will be a basic starbase maintenance. And that's essentially to dampen you from turtling the galaxy with starbase.
Right.
So you actually have to go, do I want to put a starbase here? Can I afford to put a starbase here? That said, maintenance is one of those things that, like, I say this all the time, we'll be balancing forever.
Sure. Silverlock asks, why not copy the tree list done in Sins of a Solar Empire? That thing was very efficient.
I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Like the Empire tree from Sins.
Oh.
I mean, that's...
We actually had something very similar in Elemental.
I was gonna say like LH has pretty much that exact
That's
thing.
kind of really honestly what the this list is.
Yeah.
But it is a lot different. It gives more information, which is helpful, but it is also a little more limited. What I am going to do is make it so these mouse overs on these tabs give you a lot more information.
Oh, that'll
so
be
you
nice.
can go over here and say, oh, I have 300 ships, or I have 15 star bases, or I have 3 star bases, 2 of them are idle, or or whatever. So those are going to get smarter. I'm also thinking we'll put better filters in here, and we'll have better. We might have alternate views for people who want them to be smaller.
Sure.
So alternate entries.
Sure.
Honestly, having a big empire tree is really cool, but what we find happens, and in Sins, you got to remember there's a lot less units.
Right.
A lot less units. Even in Elemental, we ran into this problem where you would have giant armies of, and you just end up collapsing the branch and never look at it.
Right.
So that's the problem with that. Now, in Sins, I mean, in Galactic, like I keep saying, a late game huge map, you can have hundreds of ships.
Right.
And you end up with a scrolling list bar along the side of your screen. So it's not that we don't love that idea. We love it. We've done it. It's just I don't think it's going to work with this game. So what we're going to do is try and refine the actual ship lists, these asset lists, to be a little smarter and take the place of that.
Sure. Alstein had kind of an interesting idea. He says, I'd like to see tech ages be used as a way to speed up empires who are behind. Which is kind of an interesting, like, maybe gets... I always kind of like...
a cool event.
That would be a cool event.
It would be a really cool event. There's blah, 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 wormhole happens, and everyone is now at Age of War.
That would be interesting.
And just give everybody... Yeah, I like that.
I kind of like the idea of having some more of those kind of rubber banding effects in there, just because that always keeps the game more interesting.
So
because 4Xs are always so prone to snowballing.
It's the problem with that is, well, no, it's kind of a neat idea. I don't know if I'd want that to be a default behavior. But I mean, you could say like once half the galaxy is up to Age of War, everyone automatically bumps up to Age of War. But that would be so easy to exploit, because you could essentially focus on one particular thing or work. Focus on building ships.
Yeah.
You're just building ships.
But I mean, you wouldn't get
and then all of a sudden, bang! I got all those techs for free.
Would you get all the text for free, or would you just bypass the gate? So you'd be able to pass the gate, but you wouldn't get a bunch of text for free. You know what I'm saying? So you'd still have to research
suggested it? Tell them to write us a detailed thesis on how this works. No, I like the idea. It's not something we currently have in mind, and I really think it would be a cool event that essentially is just like everyone gets all the Age of War text. Bam. Okay, fight. Sounds like actually a really cool mega event.
Ed Ladner is asking if we got to his question. I think his question was about the ship. I was seeing some chatter about ship designer bug, about placing parts.
I saw that on the forums, and I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah,
and I get to spend less time in the ship designer, so I'm not sure what he's talking. I would love if you maybe he's written an entire post on it, and I just missed it. Maybe you could post a link to it in the chat, or into the main into the forum post, so I can take a look at it. We obviously don't want any bugs in there. I don't know particularly what one you're referring to.
But bug reports, super, super helpful. So please,
I said, did you fix? I actually almost responded. Said like, there's still a problem placing something on ships, and I'm like, I need more details. So, but we definitely want to fix that. Especially anything's reproducible. If it's like, if I place this module on this module, I get a crash, or I can't place it, or something. Let us know. We definitely want to fix those things.
UP resolution to enter the Age of War, for example. That's kind of interesting. That's a good suggestion there.
Yeah.
Id Freak asks about multiplayer. If you leave a game before it ends, will somebody be able to take over your civ, or maybe AI could do so?
AI can do so.
We can do that already.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, we're still playing with multiplayer, but yes, you can definitely have an AI take over, because like me and you are playing, and me and you and Annie and Maggie are playing, and Maggie wants to go for a walk. We can essentially load the game and say, you AI, and hopefully Nathan's not down there going, no, it's not working. I'm pretty sure that works. Yeah. So, you can have the AI take over.
Excellent. Let's see.
I know my gameplay stylings has been pretty boring today.
Allstein also says terraforming should be random tiles, not something you can set. Man, I would hate that.
Oh no! Well, what's funny is it originally was random tiles, and they would be set. It was just like in Galactic 2, where actually we had them as they were terrains, and they would unlock.
Oh, sure.
And then you would go,
Once
I
you got
unlock it,
soil
and I get that,
enrichment
blah
or
blah blah.
whatever. Yeah.
What? But the because of adjacency is why we changed them to not be random. The
Right.
only remnant of the randomness is that you still are, depending on the quality of the terraforming, limited by the continent.
Sure.
Until you get to the last one, which you could just put anywhere.
Right.
But that said, that's specifically why we did that, because we want you to go. I mean, I literally go into my planets, and I'm sure everybody's done this at this point, where you go in there and go, look at this. I got this sea here. I want to put one here. If I had a random one that was over here, I'd be like,
Right.
Now, also, that said, there are some events that will randomly give you tiles, and they do just put them randomly.
Okay.
There's a galactic event that just gives every planet a tile. There's a couple of colonizing events. I think there might even be a UP measure that gives everybody a tile. I don't know how in hell that would work. But
everybody votes for more land.
Yeah, votes for this animal is no longer endangered, so everybody can use this free tile. So we just make this stuff up. But it's more important. Is is it something the player would want? And so yeah,
right. Undo button for starbases yet?
Undo button for starbases. They want. Well, this goes back to our conversation. Hopefully, this is what they mean. We don't have undo. I built that module. Oh damn it! I didn't want to build that module.
Sure.
Honestly, I've done that, so I understand. We might come up with something like that, because when you design a ship, you don't have that problem. You can just go, oh, I didn't mean to put that. You can take it off. So what we might actually just do is, rather than having to undo, is have a commit where you add it. And
oh, sure.
Done.
That would probably be
that would
at least save you the
address
misclick.
the issue. You could say cancel.
Right.
Oh wait, I didn't mean to put that on.
Right.
Or maybe even make it so they're in the queue here. Do I have a starbase here? Well, they're in this little line here. Well, it still says building. There's an X, and you could cancel it. Those are ideas we're playing with, or I'm playing with. I'm sure everybody downstairs is like, what the hell are you talking about?
This is, I believe we know the answer to this question. To start, I have an in-house multi-tree editor that you use to maintain the tech improvements modules XML files all at once.
Yes.
Yeah, we have that Excel sheet. Are we going to release that?
Yes.
We are. So modders will have access to that. It's.
I'll probably clean it up a lot by
Sure.
then. Right now, it's a little rough around the edges, but we essentially do everything in a giant Excel spreadsheet that I, in my awesome Visual Basic code, exports all of the XML,
Right.
and it allows you to do really quick. I added the your today by just grabbing and cutting and pasting, Crin is now your, and then I start replacing things.
Right.
The tech trees, to add the tech tree for the your, I literally just add the name your, and then boom, now I have one, and now I can start modifying it. So we have a lot of tools for that. Are they super sexy, advanced apps? No. Will we ever have anything like that? Maybe, but right now we do it literally for flexibility's sake. I do it almost all in Excel or just in an editor. And it works really well.
Gotcha. So we'll be releasing that to modders, so you'll have access to that.
Yeah, that probably won't be released to the main bulk of people until after until the game comes out. Not now,
until release.
But after goal.
Sure.
And then we might trickle it out to some MVPs who want to start modding the game.
Sure.
But we've got to be really careful with letting people mod too easily, because they send in bug reports of their mods.
Oh.
And we can't fix that. We're like,
Right.
You broke the game. It's not our fault. So, right now we really need the data to be consistent with what we're doing.
Sure. Somebody's getting a crash in ideology. So best thing I can tell you is
I think that he's probably talking about the persuasion.
Yes.
Yes, that has been fixed. It's
has
in
been
beta
fixed.
2.
Excellent.
I mean, in patch 1.
Oh, so that's
Okay.
already, that fix is already live?
Yep, it's already live.
Excellent.
And that was entirely my fault. There's a lot of little things that got fixed, not as much as I would like to, but we have to kind of tablespoon these things out. I don't know if the word table was required in that sentence.
So what else are we looking for? Are we doing another patch to beta 2 before beta 3 comes out? I mean, probably.
That is debatable. It just depends on whether it's the best use of time.
Sure.
Honestly, we tend not to patch unless it's because of. We tend not to patch unless things are literally broken.
Sure.
You know, we don't want to. We're not doing feature updates in the patches. That's what the betas are for.
Right.
But it's like, oh, I can't like the persuasion thing. I can't play the game. All right, yeah, we have to fix that. So the more, if there are enough of those things, then we will do another patch. If they're not, I personally would love to just focus on beta 3 because beta 3 is a big one, and it's a
big one.
And
I'm
there's
looking forward
a lot to be done, and I'm sure everybody would love to focus on that. But like I said, if there's enough broken things, we will definitely be addressing them.
All right, we've gotten through most of the questions here. I want to do one more before we kind of sign off. Well, two more, actually from the same guy. One of them in the chat, one of them in the forum. Can we fix placement of black holes?
Yes. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm saying yes. It's actually, ironically, not super simple but we are going to do a whole nother pass on black hole placement. I'm actually okay with how nebulas are getting placed right now, but probably a little bit of that. And we'll also be making a pass on the the relic placement and the anomaly placement. The anomaly, the essential game placement.
There's a lot of, I would love to see personally, and this is always a bit of a design question and a design.
Like these two things should never be this close to each other.
Right.
So yeah, those are all things that we will be addressing.
I would kind of love to see a checkbox in Galaxy creation that weights things to be more balanced. Because like right now, things are really like you can have really good starts and really bad starts, and it can be really uneven for different empires that are on the same map, right? Just with the way the galaxy is getting generated. I know it's
a random galaxy, buddy.
I know.
Now that said, we will have actually if you want balanced,
I can always load up a proper
if you want balanced, play
map.
scattered.
Oh, really?
That's you're going to get the most balanced experience that way. Now that said, because the minute you're playing clusters or tight clusters, you could end up on one corner of the galaxy with 6 great planets, but it'd be on the other side, far away from everybody, and then you just can turtle like crazy. That's always been one of the kind of perks to Galaxy. It's why we always had the Control N, is you could essentially keep hitting it until you get just the spot you want. But we will have also fixed maps that players can play that are more tournament style maps.
Sure.
So it's like I want
you got to have
everyone to have a square. I want everyone to have the same 4 starting planets.
Right.
Galaxy is really not about balance, which is why the multiplayer is such a challenge. It's like I said, I keep saying, and the thing Derek originally said, somebody originally said this, maybe somebody famous, is that everything should be equally broken, not really balanced.
I think that's something I think I've seen that attributed to Firaxis.
Yeah, it probably sounds like a Sid Meier.
It does kind of sound like a Sidism. Yeah. Let's see. List of
Speaking
updates.
Of which, Beyond Earth came out today, so everybody go buy that. But then, when you're done playing it, go buy Galaxy 3.
That's right. No, we are as I'm sure will come to a shock to nobody. Comes as a shock to nobody. We are all big.
I actually just
fans.
downloaded it. I'm
super
gonna
excited.
start playing it tonight, and
basically as soon as this stream gets uploaded to YouTube, I'm heading home and I'm gonna
I'm
dive
actually
in.
mad
I'm
because
excited.
our game in the original mock-ups of people looked the Fog of War, our map was a hex, like a holographic hex line.
Oh, really?
And I really liked that, and Brad was like, I don't like it, it's busy, and now Brad's probably going to hear this and yell at me. But I really thought that was cool, and then I'm looking at Beyond Earth, and they do it a little different than I wanted to do it, but I'm like, oh, maybe Brad will see that and go, oh, that does look good, and then we'll be able to put it back in. That is how decisions get made sometimes. I said I was going to do one other question, and it was from
here. Will we be getting more interactive pop-ups or responses from AI players? For example,
yes.
I want the AI to pop up and ask me for anything. Give me Earth and we'll destroy Starbase X357.
Yes, and yes.
All that stuff.
So all of the conversation tree actually is kind of in, but because there's so much of it is reliant on writing, we didn't have it really doing anything yet. So as we move forward, yes, we're going to have, it'll be demanding, your firstborn child, and it'll be taunting you for, why are you building that starbase there? And I see what you're doing there. Those types of things will all be in. We even have the infrastructure for the Terrans see the Drengen and the, and they bitch at you about that, or the Yor see the Iconians, and so we have a lot of that. That's another thing, like we always say, we'll be getting polished, getting stuff added to it till we ship and after, because it's just, that's the fun stuff.
Totally.
Where right now we're focused on, does the game crash? Does the system work? Can I break everything by changing one modifier? These are the things that we have to fix.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, thank you all for watching. That's our stream for the week, I think. We are, like I said, we just shipped this patch yesterday, which is exciting. We will have Beta 3, which includes combat and a bunch of other stuff. That'll be in December. We'll get that out before we break for the holidays. Some of us will break for the holidays. Paul will probably break to go play in the XML.
Yeah. I'd like to think I actually have an idea for a game I wanted to dock out over the Christmas, but
there you go.
Instead, I'm probably going to end up working on the game. But it's more important. It's more important to make sure Galciv is good and then worry about it later. So.
I think if you tell people in our Twitch stream that you want to work on some other game, they're going to be very upset with you.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not some other game. It's literally like a design that's loosely based on Galciv.
Okay.
Because when I'm playing Galciv, I'm like, I would love to do this, but I can't because it doesn't make any sense in Galciv.
Oh,
and now it's
sure.
like, but if this game was this mystery game, and Derek's kicking me right now. Anyways, no, I will not. I'm going to work on the game. Trust me. That's all I do. It's my life. Thanks a lot.
It is kind of your life. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks, guys. We'll be back next week with more Galciv 3. We'll be back on Wednesday with more Sorcerer King.
Apparently things went to hell quick while we were away. People are fighting. Everything was peaceful when I hit soak.
That's excellent. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.